Hi, this is Sam Klepper. I'm alongside Lee Borcherding, and it is a great day to be a Dodger.
It's a great day to be a Dodger, because it's finally spring break.
Oh, I can smell the flowers blooming already. You doing anything over spring break?
No? You?
No.
Oh.
Well, today we have things to do. We're covering the NJGPA, Madison High School Spring Sports, Cooking in a Crisis, and much, much more.
But first, let's talk about a topic most likely on everyone's mind, plastered on every social media page and media outlet. As we all know, there's an ongoing situation in Ukraine that's having an impact on us all. Sam, you and Gianna took an in-depth look at how different generations view the situation.
We did, Lee. On February 24th, 2022, the Russian Federation invaded its neighbor Ukraine, in the latest chapter of what has been an ongoing struggle between the two nations. The conflict began in 2014 with the Russian annexation of the Crimean Peninsula, and has been slowly building up over the past 8 years. This, however, marks the first time that Russian troops have directly invaded Ukrainian soil since the earliest days of the Soviet Union. The unprovoked act of violence has prompted a strong response from governments around the world, including our very own. While the international response has been very pro-Ukraine, do everyday citizens share the same sentiment? Over the past few days, myself and Gianna went out to interview members of 4 different generations: Baby Boomers, Generation X, Millennials, and Gen Z, to determine the role that age plays in our perception of the crisis in Eastern Europe.
I'm Arhan Menon, and I'm 17 years old.
Joe Sakala, 34 years old.
I'm Mr. Steve Burnich, and I'm 50 years old.
My name is Bob Grunfest, and I'm 62 years old.
What is your understanding of the current conflict in Ukraine?
Right now it is really bad. The Ukrainian people are strong, and they seem to be putting up a good fight.
Vladimir Putin has invaded Ukraine under the false pretenses that Ukraine was under the lead of neo-Nazis. President Putin is looking to recreate the Soviet bloc.
As a history teacher, I feel like it's in part my job.
An authoritarian ruler named Vladimir Putin has decided that Ukraine is not an independent country and that he can annex it to Russia.
Who do you think is to blame for what's going on, and where do your own sympathies lie?
Well, obviously it's Russia. When you start invading a country, bringing the military equipment, terrorizing the civilians.
Vladimir Putin, I think, is 100% to blame with what's going on. It's all lies and completely unjustified. My sympathies lie with the people of Ukraine, obviously.
This is Vladimir Putin's doing. From the Russian point of view, they don't like what they see as encroachment of NATO influence. These things can be talked through. Of course, I feel for the Ukrainian people. I can't imagine what it would be like if something like this happened here. As the Holocaust teacher and genocide, I see the makings with so many civilian casualties. I mean, it's clear to me that war crimes are being committed.
The blame is firmly with Vladimir Putin and Russia. I would certainly support Ukraine and the legitimacy of the Ukrainian government.
How did yourself and those around you view Russia and Eastern Europe throughout your childhood and teenage years?
I mean, as a kid, I never really cared much about what happened within the last few years, especially since Crimea. We've kind of seen Putin as a dictator.
I mean, I'm a very young millennial, very much born at the end of the Cold War, and I have very little memory of that at all. But so much of my childhood, as far as the Cold War was concerned, or my understanding of American-Russian relations, was really kind of informed by movies. The Russians were always the bad guy. Obviously, I have a much better understanding of the Cold War now.
I remember the Cold War distinctly, especially in the 80s, keenly aware that we were, opposed to the Soviet Union. I also grew up aware that sometimes this goes south. I didn't really experience Vietnam, but I knew that there was a war there once, and it didn't go the way we wanted. Probably like a lot of history teachers, I started to pay attention to news at a younger age. I was definitely of the impression that sooner or later we were going to fight with the Soviet Union. So life was normal. I was a kid. There was always this thing in the background, and every once in a while it reminded you that it was there.
My family is from Ukraine, and my grandparents came to the United States, one before World War I and one after. Because they're Jewish, they were not considered Ukrainian as such. So I don't really consider myself ethnically Ukrainian. Grew up in Somerset, New Jersey, which had a rather large Ukrainian population. I took Russian starting in 7th grade and took it through my first year in college. We had a Ukrainian culture club. When I was a senior in high school, those of us who took Russian could go to Russia. I was able to go to the Soviet Union on a trip. When I started teaching, I took a group to the Soviet Union in 1986.
How do you think all of those factors play into your current perception of the conflict in Ukraine?
Well, obviously, it makes me side with the Ukrainian people more.
I think it probably makes it a lot easier for me to come to the conclusion that the Russians are the bad guy, knowing that, Vladimir Putin was ex-KGB. In their mind, this reestablishment of this buffer zone between the East and West helps to keep Western influence out.
I grew up and Russia was the enemy, even though, it wasn't the Russian people. But, Russia was the enemy, and so I think I've slipped right back into that. It's really not people that want war, but perhaps governments and egos. But I also think I'm a bit more open-minded.
It means a good deal to me, from a familial standpoint, a historical standpoint, cultural. I'd like to think that I know a good deal about it, be as removed as I can be from it emotionally. In the end, it's an authoritarian dictator attacking a sovereign country for no good reason.
That was very informative and thought-provoking. Although we in the U.S. are on the opposite end of the globe as Ukraine, we are with them in mind, spirit, and support.
We really do take a lot of things for granted. We have a lot of modern conveniences over here, especially when it comes to food.
Exactly. Especially this latest trend of snack boxes. You can have a box of snacks literally sent to your doorstep, but it's not cheap.
It is not. Luckily for us, Tristan and Will took a look at these snack boxes and how to make them while also cutting the costs. Let's take a look at how they did.
Subscription boxes have been popularized over the past few years. They come in all shapes, sizes, and themes. However, snack boxes have caught our attention. The idea of having a plethora of foreign snacks delivered to your doorstep is great, but the pricing is far from a treat. In spite of that, we had the idea to make our own snack box. Take a look as we scour the Kamman Market, an Asian grocery store, with a budget of $35. Monthly food subscription services have been quite the trend within the last few years. One of the most notable being MunchPak, which is a popular company that delivers snacks and candy all around the world to your doorstep. However, when checking out at this website, you can notice that the price, when including a soda and a delivery just for the medium size of 10 snacks, would be $38. So I thought, why can't we do it ourselves? So I decided to take matters into my own hands. So unlike MunchPak, I don't have my own, cute box, but I do have a makeshift one that I made out of a shoebox. As you can see, I opened it up and it says snack box on there, snack box TM. So this is where I'm going to put all of the items I get from the market. So let's just go see and look for what we can find. So first off, I went to the savory aisle just to see if I can find any crackers, and I found some barbecue potato crackers for only $1.19. Not bad at all. Again, my budget is $35 here. I need 11 items in total, so a pretty good start there. I walked around a bit and went to the ramen section. They do have a lot of ramen here, and I've had some of it and it is pretty good. Very spicy, especially the one I got here. So I got a pretty nice big cup of ramen for $3.59. So I'm going to plop that in there. And then we're going to the candy as well. We have Hi-Chews, Pockies, flavored breadsticks. So I ended up getting some Hi-Chews, and I got some Pockies as well. Big fan of both, and the Pockies were $2.99, and the Hi-Chews were just around there as well. So we can add that to our total, add it to our basket, and move on. Moving on to the biscuits, they have two main brands. They have Koala's March and Hello Panda. A bunch of different options, but I went with Koala's March. I took a box of the strawberry and a box of the chocolate, and I'm just going to put them right in my cart for a $2.99 each, which I think is not bad at all. So we're going to move on from there. And after that, I actually took some time and found some pea-flavored chips, some more spicy chips, and I thought they looked good, so I added them for $2.49. We're about halfway done, still pretty well under the budget here. And then we're going to find some sriracha-flavored peas. Now, these are rather expensive for $5.99. However, you do get quite a lot, and I think it's one of the bigger snack additions there. And if you're curious, they do have American snacks or brands that here at the market as well, like Oreo. But I'm more interested in the international stuff. So I found some Choco digestive biscuits for $2.69. Not sure how these are going to taste, but I'm going to put them in the box anyway. And then I found some Every Burger chocolate wafers. It's like chocolate shaped as a burger, which I thought was kind of cute. For $3.39, so a little expensive for how much there are, but you know, might as well add it to the box. We're still under budget, doing pretty well. And this is where I took a second to stop, you know, finding items and looked around the store. So, if you've never been here, it is next to Godfather's in Hanover, and it is a full market, so you can find meat, fresh vegetables and produce, a big fish section. So if you ever want to expand your palate horizons, I highly recommend this place. But moving on to soda. So Munchpak charges $5 for one soda. I found a international soda, an assortment, and one was $2.99. So that is a $2 difference, let alone for Munchpak. So obviously I had to get it. And then I'm gonna go back to the Pockies because I did make a small mistake. So I'm gonna exchange what I got, and now it's time to check it all out. So like I said, I was trying to spend less than $35, and all of it came to a total of $33.19, which means I succeeded under budget, and I brought all that food home, and it honestly looked great.
For $33, that sure sounds like a good deal.
Yeah, that sounds great.
All this talk about food is actually making me hungry, and we have another food-related video up next. As New Jerseyans, we all like our bacon, egg, and cheeses, and here in Morris County, there's a competition for who does it the best. Purple Minions Productions takes a look into who they think brings home the bacon the best. Luke?
Good morning. Have you ever had a bacon, egg, and cheese? If you're a resident from New Jersey, the answer better be yes. Here in Morris County, there are multiple locations to pick up a Beck and enjoy it. There are so many, in fact, that there's a little competition towards who is the best one. Today, we are providing you with an exclusive Purple Minion Production bacon, egg, and cheese review. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. After the video, go and pick yourself up a bacon, egg, and cheese.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. We're reviewing Beck's today. If you don't know what a Beck is, you
don't deserve to be watching this video if you don't know what a Beck is.
You just gotta get out. We have Beck's from 4 locations today. We have Chatham Bagel. We got CJ's.
Goat.
John Blair. Absolute goat. And then Florham Park Bagel. Let's read the chat.
It's actually Florham Park Deli.
What
We're going
part?
to start with Noah's Bagels first. Honestly, these are student-submitted responses as per most of our videos. This is not my favorite bagel place whatsoever, but it's for the fans. Taste test. Upon first contact with my taste buds, my first evaluation is that it's extremely dry. The cheese is an overwhelmingly bland texture. I gotta give that a 3 out of 10. There's no creativity in that whatsoever.
I'm gonna give an in-depth review of this. The egg looks really leathery.
That looks like insulation.
I'm trying to, yeah,
It looks like the spray insulation.
looks like something terrible.
Hold
but
on, wait.
it's like,
Look at this.
Yes.
Look at this egg. Look at this. Hold on, wait. Let me see if it's. Look at that.
looks like something that you find in your basement. Cheese. Feeling a little rubbery. Let's take a quick bite. Alright, so the bagel, I don't know. It's not a good balance between fluffiness and crispiness. 3.3
minions out of 10 minions.
On to the next.
Okay, now with our next place in Chatham, it's Chatham Bagel. Very similar look to the Noah's Bagel. Big stack of cheese, big egg. Got an everything bagel because I needed to change it up. I'm really not looking forward to this bite, but here we go.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna give this a taste. I'm gonna describe the taste, the texture, and the tummy feel. Let's get going on this. It looks appealing to me, at least. definitely a step up from Noah's. But
Let me try.
I don't know.
Sometimes the difference in a bacon, egg, and cheese is the bagel.
Yeah, the bagel can make the difference.
I think this is like my ideal bagel. I think that one was definitely better.
Step up for sure. Chatham bagel. You got a pretty decent bacon, egg, and cheese.
Minions?
6.5 minions.
6.5 minions out of 10. All right, now this one is from, I think it's Florham Park Delicatessens. Maybe we'll
All right,
put it in the.
Should we get a
Okay, so first bite. Here we go. You just get that nice fluffy texture of the plain bagel. I don't know. This is my favorite one so far. I would say. Immediately hit with like a punch in the face of smoke. Just smoke.
Oh yeah.
Another thing you can sense in biting into this bacon is just a successful supply chain from the farm to the
Oh yeah. God bless America.
we start boycotting Russian bacon.
Their pigs over in Russia are inferior to American pigs.
Soviet pigs.
Soviet pigs.
Communist pigs.
Animal Farm.
Animal Farm.
What is going on?
That was like
All right.
Wordle.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for. CJ's Deli Bacon, Egg, and Cheese.
Let's go.
Us three here from Madison, so there may be a little bias here. If this bacon, egg, and cheese was a woman, I would take her out on a nice dinner date and treat her. It was probably made by John Blair himself.
The goat.
So I already know that it's gonna be a 10. 10. 10 minions. No explanation needed. This is a work of
Hopefully nobody's allergic to eggs who will use this table.
Alright guys, here we have our winner. CJ's Deli. We also have our bagel graveyard.
Well, I guess I have to go to CJ's now.
Yeah, me too. I've actually never been to CJ's or even had a bacon, egg, and cheese.
That is really hard to believe, and so is the fact that juniors have to take the NJGPA this week.
I have to take it next year. It's a requirement for graduation now.
Yeah, I'm a senior, so I know nothing about it, but I do appreciate the delayed openings this week.
Well, a lot of people don't know much about it, which is why Sydney and Alexis took an in-depth look at the exam and what you need to do to pass. Alexis?
Thank you, Lee. The NJGPA, or the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment, was recently reinstated as a graduation requirement by Governor Murphy. In light of this, I walked around Madison High School interviewing students and faculty on their thoughts about the NJGPA. Let's take a look.
Now, Ms. Interval, what is the NJGPA?
So the NJGPA is the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment. This will be administered for the first time for our current junior class. This will continue on with the class and cohort of 2023, 24, and 25. This is an assessment in order to be able to graduate from Madison High School and for any other student in a public school in New Jersey to achieve a form of, achieve a cut score of 750 on the ELA and math components of the NJGPA.
Are you preparing your students for the NJGPA? And
Yes.
how?
Oh, the New Jersey Graduation Proficiency Assessment. Yes, absolutely, we're preparing for that. It's the new standardized test coming down from New Jersey, and in class, my students are reviewing the expectations of the test. We're going over some sample questions together, and we're talking about test-taking strategies.
Now, Sophia, has your teachers informed you about the NJGPA?
My English teacher actually, during the straight 8 day, she gave us a whole lesson about it, and we looked at like a practice test, and she gave us the format and stuff.
How are you preparing your students for the NJGPA?
I actually only have 2 juniors, so I just gave them a link to the site. But other than that, I feel confident because they are in a level of math class that is okay for the NJGPA.
Have your teachers prepared you for the NJGPA?
They have not. I have not heard really anything about it.
besides from like classmates and my friends, stuff like that.
So have you taken any practice tests?
I've not.
What are your thoughts on this test?
I'm a little bit nervous just because it's like you gotta pass it to graduate. I think I'll be alright though.
Now, what happens if you don't pass this test?
It's a great question. So, and that is a question that many people, especially our school counselors here, are asking. So if it should be that a student sits for the assessment and doesn't achieve the passing score, which we know is a 750, then there are alternate assessments. For example, to name a few, the PSAT might count, the SAT, the ACT, those are a few examples. However, the trick to this assessment and to meeting a graduation requirement would be that you need to still sit for the NJ GPA in order for the state to consider an alternate assessment.
Now, what are your thoughts on this test?
I'm a little bit upset, if you want to know. I feel that juniors being tested and having it as a required test for graduation after dealing with the pandemic for like 2 years is a little bit much. I wouldn't mind if it was a test run, but it's a little much to ask of them.
How do you feel about taking this test?
Personally, I'm a little bit annoyed because I don't want to have to go to school for an extra 2 hours than everyone else and then have a day till 2 o'clock. I feel like I'm just going to be tired and like annoyed.
I think it's really stressful, and I think it's kind of pointless to take a 4-day test when your whole like college life depends on it.
That thing sucks. Like, it should not be a thing.
How would you feel if you were a student and you had to take this test to graduate?
I think I would be a little worried about it just because it's something new, and that's a sentiment that my students have expressed to me in all of my classes, that, you know, they're very uncomfortable about it, that it's something new, that it's unfamiliar, you know, but ultimately the purpose of the test is to assess whether or not the students are prepared to move on from high school. And I can say with certainty that all of my students are prepared to do that. So I'm putting my faith in the test to assess them fairly, and I'm putting my faith in my students to pass it.
I would just hope that they don't become too overwhelmed and that they just know that everyone in a public school in New Jersey is going through this. They are the first grade level, our juniors, going through this. And I think the state is also wondering what the results will be. So it's kind of like, in a way, it's a test the first year, but we do know that it's not going away, at least for the cohorts 23, 24, and 25. So you should take it seriously, but I wouldn't want any student to be really distraught over it, because I think in the end, no matter what, they will graduate and we will work through it.
Thanks, Alexis. It's really good to know that I will never have to take that.
And it's good to know what's going on here at the high school.
Yeah, and right now, spring sports are what's going on. In the past 2 weeks, spring sports have finally gotten underway. Tyler and Luke interviewed members of the boys and girls lacrosse teams, baseball and softball.
One thing that's always exciting about springtime at Madison High School is the sports. Everyone's winter depression is gone and competition is through the roof.
For sure. I'm excited to see how our teams do. Hopefully they'll go far.
Thank you, Sam. As we know, spring sports have begun, and we can't wait to support the Madison Dodgers. I went around Madison High School interviewing student athletes to get the inside scoop on their season. I asked them what fans should expect and how they feel about their seasons. Let's take a sneak peek at the baseball team, girls lacrosse, girls softball, and the boys lacrosse team.
You could try to play it, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't
Minion Productions. I mean, Puck Boys. It's me and Luke from Purple Minion Productions, here to answer some questions about lacrosse. So, obviously, I have very high expectations for this team because I know how good it can be, and we have a new coaching staff full of amazing coaches, great people. We got a lot of talent. I'm very excited to see how this year plays out.
I think an expectation everybody has is an immediate rise in intensity. I think everybody's ready to work, and we've seen that through the off season. We've been working, we've been putting in conditioning, everything. We're ready to go.
I think that we'll do pretty well. We have some incoming freshmen that will be pretty good, so hopefully we'll do well.
I mean, there's really no expectation right now. We're just gonna go out there. We're gonna go out there. We're gonna do our best. We're going to, hopefully, our goal is a state title, but you never know what could happen.
I think we're going to be a lot different than we were last year, but I'm hopeful, and I think it's going to be a good year.
Strengths of the team is definitely our offense. Last year we had constant production throughout the entire lineup, and hoping for more of that this year. You cannot replace the seniors that we lost, but I believe that the seniors are different and will bring a different aspect, a different personas to this team, and it'll be a good thing. I think that the juniors also need to step up and be leaders on this team. I don't think the seniors can do it alone.
I think the seniors, Bridget Hanley, Brooke Cliven, and Lily Winsford, and Gwen Islander will do well. Yes, I think they'll get a better feel for the team.
Yeah, COVID last year was definitely bad. Like, the team experience, like, in the environment wasn't good, but this year hopefully it will be better.
I think it's just going to change the beginning of the season and how we get started. Getting like 3 wins in the beginning of the season is going to change a lot compared to the last 3 seasons where we've just started off with immediate losses.
Yeah, I agree with that. Instead of, like, no disrespect to anybody, but instead of like, it's not like, okay, first 3 games you're going to Del Barton, you're going to Chatham, you're going to Seton Hall, like all these like huge private schools and like group like 5 lacrosse schools. Instead it's like, oh, we're playing Morristown, we're playing Milburn, we're playing Hanover Park, like teams that like are actually like our size, and I feel like we should have been playing. But yeah, I feel like everyone here, everyone who has a varsity experience on this team has played against the best of the best, so I'm very interested to see how we do against other schools our size. Oh yeah, I think definitely not having to worry about COVID. That's just like one extra thing we have to worry about, because it's like, oh, instead of just being able to focus on getting to practice, doing the game, whatever, it's like, oh, did I forget a mask for practice? Do I have to worry about whatever, a new guideline coming in? Are we going to get shut down halfway through the season? So I think with less COVID and hopefully no COVID, it's going to be a lot more fun.
I mean, we have juniors who haven't even experienced like a COVID-less season. So I think it's just going to be a culture shock in all positive ways for everybody, and we're just ready to win.
Yeah, I feel like that should be a goal for most teams this spring. One team in particular that went far this past season was the girls' basketball team. Congratulations, girls, and Miss Turo for winning the state sectional title.
Basketball in March really is the best. Ben and John took a look at some of the best basketball moments in March over the past few years in the NCAA tournament. John?
March Madness is one of the biggest sporting events of the year. The college basketball tournament attracts the attention of millions, including the students and faculty of MHS. Today we are going to cover a brief history of the tournament and take a look into Madison High School's favorite March Madness moments.
College basketball has been a long-standing tradition in the United States. The pinnacle resides in March Madness, a single-elimination tournament where colleges and universities around the nation compete for college basketball fame. The tournament has been held annually since 1939 and has seen some changes over the years. More and more teams have been added to the tournament over the years, initially beginning with 8 and now 68. March Madness has brought tons of great and important moments to college basketball and the sporting world in general. In 1966, no one would have predicted that the Texas Western Miners would go on to win the national championship. They had to get through experienced opponents such as Cincinnati and Kansas to reach the final against the already 4-time champion Kentucky Wildcats. Texas Western had no experience in the tournament, which makes it remarkable that in their first trip to the tournament, they won it spectacularly. What makes it even more legendary is that it was the first all-black starting lineup. Going forward to 2013, the number 15 Florida Gulf Coast Eagles, in their first appearance in the tournament, were faced against the second seed Georgetown Hoyas. Georgetown was a heavy favorite. Up to that point, there had only been 6 times in the tournament's history where a 15 seed beat the 2 seed, but the most recent one at that time was only the year prior when Kyle O'Quinn and the Norfolk State Spartans upset the Missouri Tigers in a thrilling performance. Florida Gulf Coast used high-flying dunks and alley-oops to send the Hoyas home, 78-68. It didn't end there for them either. They were put against the San Diego State Aztecs in the second round, and that was also a 10-point victory for the Eagles, 81-71. In the Sweet 16, they would lose to Florida. The most notable upset of all time was when the number 16 UMBC Retrievers took down the number 1 Virginia Cavaliers. UMBC had essentially no shot to win the first round. Virginia was missing some of their starters, but even that was Virginia, an ACC powerhouse. UMBC, surrounded by a crowd of orange and blue, overcame the pressure and handled Virginia in shocking fashion, 74-54. Gonzaga was just 9.5 seconds away from moving on to the national championship in 2021, but Johnny Juzang had other plans for the Zags. With just 6 seconds left in overtime, he put up a floater from the paint, which hit off the rim, which then he rebounded and put in for 2. Reliable guard Jalen Suggs then took the ball up court with 3.3 seconds left when he reached barely beyond half court and put up a shot that would define his career for the Zags. The clock hit 0, and the ball bounced off the backboard and directly into the basket, and Suggs, with just 1 shot, sent Gonzaga to play in the national championship against Baylor.
Do you have any favorite March Madness moment you like to share?
Yeah, it's when Villanova beat that one team, and the whole stadium went crazy. I was there with my cousin. It was nuts.
Going to go length of the court with Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship. The national champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer. Jim, they're going to check it. I thought it was good live, but how about those onions?
Yeah, when Steph Curry was like he playing in Davidson, he had like a great career. You know what I mean? And it was just really amazing to watch that. Even though I watched the highlights, it's still, pretty interesting.
Takes advantage and knocks it down from 3. 18 points for Curry, ties a career high. Curry's got another one.
And Jim, watch his feet. Now that was a very difficult position to get yourself.
Absolutely. There was this time when Loyola Chicago made it to the Final Four in the tournament.
Here they come. One timeout, they don't take it. Oh, he got it! He got the buzzer! And the Ramblers are moving on!
So do you have any favorite March Madness moment?
I mean, there's so many, right? Every year the first round seems to have like surprise after surprise. So those Cinderella moments are always awesome to watch. My wife is a Duke fan, so we're big Duke people in our house. So you always flash back to that Duke-Kentucky game with the long bomb and Leitner with the turnaround, which is obviously there. We've been fortunate. We've seen actually March Madness come to a conclusion a bunch of times while we're in Walt Disney World, and Duke's happened to win the national title every time we've been there.
Steph Curry really was something special during that tournament run. You could really tell he was going to be a real star.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of stars, they're back on Broadway. I'm so excited that Broadway's open for business again. Celeste and I took a look at those bright Broadway lights and interviewed some teachers that actually have some experience. Let's take a look.
Seemingly forever, Broadway's opening back up again. People are talking about it all over the world and starting to travel to New York City again. Which brings up the question, why is Broadway so popular? To explain this, we decided to dive into the rich history of theater and how it all began a long, long time ago.
The word theater comes from the Creek word theomai, which means to see. The ancient Greeks invented theater and started out as a competition between playwrights. They invented comedies and tragedies, included a chorus along with actors, and held these plays at large open stadiums. The Romans found this idea, with their most important contribution being the invention of pantomiming, which is using a grand gesture along with music to convey a story. In the Middle Ages, the invention of commedia dell'arte helped shape the modern comedy and improv acting.
Playwrights like Molière in the 17th century used it to make grand comedic gestures. Shakespeare came along. His style was more realistic. It established the separation between the audience and the actors. And the conversation style is used today in theater. These elements provided the success of the plays themselves, but the commercial success came when the actor managers Walter Murray and Thomas Keane made the first theater in New York City. It established New York City as a cornerstone of theater. In the 1920s, playwright John O'Neill paved the way for other playwrights with shows like Beyond the Horizon and Anna Christie. And by the 1940s, playwriters basically improved the quality of their writing by tying all these aspects together. Broadway had gone from a thing of the past to a modern-day sensation. Nowadays, Broadway musicals are insanely popular, with musicals such as Les Miserables, Wicked, and The Phantom of the Opera ranking in billions of dollars worldwide. One of the reasons why New York City's legacy persists is through Broadway. Through this and musical theater's creative components, it's inspired people to put on musicals of their own throughout the globe. Why even in our high school, the performing arts teachers have commented on Broadway's influence on them. Through this and musical theater's creative components, it's inspired people to put on musicals of their own throughout the globe. Why even in our high school, the performing arts teachers have commented on Broadway's influence on them. It's no wonder people are raving at the return of Broadway. Its success has led to many people sharing their love for it. Throughout history, it's been a tool for bringing people together.
I, for one, am really glad that Broadway's back open again.
Me too, and it might give me something to do over spring break.
That would be a great way to spend it. But regardless, I hope you have a great spring break, Lee.
Thanks. You too, Sam.
Well, from Lee Borcherding and Sam Klepper, coming to you from G50, it is still a great day to be a Dodger.